Our Morning Take. My name is Frank Johnson.
My name is Abraham Lawrence.
And I'm Tim Goetz.
And our goal here is to describe for you the movie that is going on in our head when we read the Bible. Today is December the 26th. It is a Tuesday. Episode number?
247.
247. Almost done with season 1, Abe.
I know, it's amazing.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Oh, it's been an interesting ride.
It's been a very crazy journey. You folks that want to, if you're listening on iHeart or maybe even Apple Podcasts, I really haven't done the research on Apple Podcasts, but if you want to hear like our maiden voyage episode, we were just actually listening to it off the air. You can only find it on Podbean. You will not be able to find it on iHeart. It doesn't go back that far. But if you go to Podbean and search for Our Morning Take, it gives you every single episode. At least I hope it does. I know it does for us as administrators. So before I say that, I've never really checked it out if I was just a Podbean subscriber. I don't know. But they're all there, and we found it interesting how far we've come along, huh, Abe?
Yeah, we have. It's like I said, it's been quite a journey.
You don't sound as loud as you normally are. I don't know why. But just turn him up just a bit or so. You doing okay? Did you have a good weekend?
Yes, it was amazing.
Now, it's actually Tuesday on the podcast, and we had Christmas, but I mean, that feels like an extended weekend, right?
Yes, it always does.
You're off? You said you're off, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to work today?
No, thank God.
Man, wonder how many people will listen. You heard anything from our new listeners out there at Industrial, wherever you work?
No, not lately. Not lately. Not at all.
We need some new Spanish listeners. Man, that was crazy with Anthony in the house yesterday, wasn't it?
That was amazing. It was just, just sitting there listening to him. I was just blown away.
I'm telling you.
Blown away.
Yeah, me too. Because I had no idea you knew all that stuff.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is, people would probably think that you told him to say all of that.
Especially since we're going to Exodus this next year.
Yes.
Man, and speaking of that, we just really have some awesome new developments for our season 2. We're getting new studios.
Yes.
Yeah, our sponsor has finally picked it up a notch. So instead of this, I don't know, are the cameras working today, Tim?
They are.
All right, so he says the cameras are working. So none of this paneling and brick wall and all this other junk we've got in here. It's going to look altogether different next week. And we're in a new book, The Exodus. What does that mean, Exodus,
The departure.
Yep.
Exit is like the departure.
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
But before we get to it, I thought we might spend a little time this week in the New Testament, since we never do anything in the New Testament, or rarely ever do. And it is Christmas, and we're at the day after Christmas, so you guys probably all heard about the birth of Jesus and maybe other Christmas stories. But there's a really interesting Christmas story to me found in Matthew chapter 2. I thought maybe we'd take a look at this maybe for the next day or two. We'll see whatever God has for us. You and I never script anything.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true.
Yeah, I'm just going to blindside you with all this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's an understatement.
Where's our drums when we need them? I tell you, the guy's slow on the rim. Yeah, there you go. Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 says this. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." Now, I don't know about you, Abe, but every time we see a manger scene of Jesus being born in the manger, the wise men are there. Crazy, huh?
Yes, it is.
Because they're not there. In fact, he's already been born before they even show up to Herod. So they've not even been down there to see Jesus yet. Jesus already been born. They already know he's been born. It says after Jesus was born. Matthew let you in on this. So there's a lot of speculation of exactly when this was. I remember my pastor, Tim Goetz, over there, he actually preached this one year, and he was talking about it could have been as much as, a year or two later. And after all, Herod killed all the babies under 2 years old, so it was possible that Jesus was closing in on 2 years old at that time. I don't really know exactly all of that, but I do know that it certainly wasn't at his birth. You can jump in here anytime now. You've got a comment.
I'm just listening.
What's the movie going on in your head? So they're before Herod the king. You know who Herod is?
No, I don't.
See, I told you, I blindsided the guy. Totally. This dude's not even.
He doesn't have all his notes because.
I know. Missed his Sunday school class.
Oh, yeah, definitely did.
So Herod wasn't even a Jew. This guy was, he was an Edomite. Did you know that?
Did not.
That's right, he is. He's from one of Esau's tribes. And imagine the Jews loved these guys a lot, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, Isaac's kids and Esau's kids. They didn't get along real well.
Not at all.
And so Herod, he actually comes from that. He's an Edomite. But so that's another reason why the Romans put these Herods in charge, because they were sort of related. They sort of understood how to handle the people, but they weren't Jewish. Anyway, so he comes down there to Herod, and they want to know where this Jesus is, because they've seen his star. And there is a king. There's one who has been born king of the Jews, for he saw a star. Now, verse 3 is interesting, because when Herod the king heard this, he was what?
He was troubled.
Yeah, is that what you say in your version too?
Yeah,
Are you
it
reading the
says-
King James? Or?
Yes, it says he was troubled,
Yeah.
and all Jerusalem with him.
Yeah. And that's weird too, isn't it?
Yes.
Why is the whole town troubled?
Everybody's like in an uproar.
Yeah, because there's this new king being born. I heard a pastor, this isn't an original thought, but I heard a pastor this last week. In fact, it's our sponsor, David Ross. I was over at his church. He was preaching a message from here, and he was talking about how Jesus is just a little baby, and Herod is already shaking in his boots. Guy's already troubled. Jesus hasn't said anything. He hasn't grown up. He hasn't done the first miracle, and yet he's already turning the world upside down. He's troubled.
Yes.
Why do you suppose that is?
Well, obviously, there's a reason why. I mean, this ain't just any normal baby being born. He knows there's something special about this kid. That's why people are disturbed.
What about these magi?
I mean, look how far they came to see him.
And a lot of people think it's just three guys. You and I both know better than that, right? These dudes had a caravan. They had servants. They had camels. They had wealth.
Yes.
And these guys were kings of their own. They're these magi. And, of course, they originated in Babylon under Daniel. And Daniel actually told them exactly how long it would be before the Messiah would be born. That's why they knew to start looking exactly when they did.
And I'm just curious, why they focused on the three gifts. But I'm sure they brought way more than that. But what was the significance of the gold, frankincense, and myrrh?
Well, that's for another podcast. I'm going to tell you that right now, because unless you know, do you know?
No, I don't. I
Oh,
was
thought
just
maybe you
wondering.
had that in your notes right
when what notes?
Well, you're holding something.
I'm just reading. So
No, they actually do have a significance, but that's not really why I was reading the story or the movie in my head. Yeah. The movie in my head is the fact that Herod is troubled over an infant, just some infant being born, and these magi show up and they say the king of the Jews is being born. You reckon Herod knows a little bit of something about the Messiah?
I mean, obviously, if he's upset about a baby being born and people are in an uproar, he has to have heard something over the years.
Yeah.
He's heard it.
Yeah, and so here he is, and on his watch.
On his watch.
Yeah, like he's about to lose power whenever this kid is born. So anyway, he gathered together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, and he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. Now, you see, once again, we kind of jumped the story a little bit, but the Magi just said there's one born king of the Jews, and yet Herod puts it together that that's also the Messiah. It's Shiloh. It's the guy we were just studying about in Genesis chapter 50 last week. This is the guy that Jacob predicted was going to come out of the loins of Judah, and here he is to sit on David's throne, which is where Herod is sitting right now. So, yeah. He gathers them all together, wants to know where they're supposed to be born. And what did they say to him? Verse 5. What did they say?
And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet.
For out of you.
And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among
Very
the
good.
princes of Judah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, out of you shall come forth a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Who said that?
It says in King James, it says governor shall rule my people Israel.
Who will govern my people Israel?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
The cross reference is Genesis 49, if that's what you're looking for.
yeah, exactly. And that's why really I remembered this story because it totally relates to what Jacob was saying would happen. And this, of course, has now come about. Matthew chapter 2. Here it is. He's going to be born in Bethlehem. Yeah, the house of bread, right? The
House of bread.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.